I want to go ahead and get started on some bread because I want to get some French toast in the freezer. Aprons on, let's get started. Hello family, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. And I want to show you what I want to do with fresh baked bread once it cools off and we can get into it and slice it. So I have 2 cups of water, a half a cup of sugar, one and a half teaspoons of yeast. And I think it's almost time to fill up my bag here. Alright, we're just going to let that bloom and then we'll add the rest of the ingredients. We are bloomed. We're going to have 1.5 teaspoons of salt and a 1/4 cup of olive oil. It's going to take 5 or 6 cups of flour. So just keep in mind when the recipe says, you know, between this amount of cups and this amount of cups of flour, it's because of humidity. You have to put in the minimum, and then if it needs more flour, if it's too sticky, add more flour. If it's too dry, you need to add more water. So no bread recipe is a set recipe. It's a lesson that needs to be learned how to make real bread. So you're going to make mistakes, trust me, because I made plenty of mistakes in making bread. So when you see a recipe that doesn't give you a specific amount of flour, it's because of the humidity in your home, in your region, in your area. So just keep that in mind and just play with it. Don't be scared. Just get in there and make homemade bread. Alright, so I'm going to start off with 2 cups of flour. And we're going to make what is called a sponge. Scraping the flour off of the edge of the bowl. Not necessary, but that's just something I do. And now we're just going to go ahead and add 1 cup of flour at a time until we get the consistency we need. Alright, now we're going to hand knead this for a bit. Now I only put 5 cups into my bread, but that does not mean you can only use 5 cups in your bread. Alright, we're going to hand knead this for a minimum of 8 minutes just to get everything together, cohesive, and in a beautiful dough ball. Alright, so when I need, I just take a piece, pull it just a bit, fold it in, turn it, take a piece, fold it in, turn it, and I just keep doing that with the heel of my hand right here. So I am right-handed, so right hand pulls, left hand kneads. Right hand pulls, left hand kneads. But you do whatever is comfortable for you. Just get in there. Be passionate about what your family eats, what you prepare for your family. I think I got enough flour. Just scooping that out of my way. And now I'm just going to knead. Trying to get all that gluten developed in this bread. Get that yeast to activate. Because I started off with cold water, the warmth of my hand, it's going to warm this dough up so it can rise beautiful. A little bit more flour because it's starting to get a little sticky. I've worked all that flour in. Yeast is something I always have on hand. So making yeast bread just makes it easier for me. Okay, I think we are getting a beautiful dough ball. Alright, let's seal up that bottom edge. I'm just pulling it all together and pinching it. There we go. We got a beautiful dough. We're going to let it rise in the same bowl. A little bit of olive oil. Just enough to coat this dough ball. Top side down. Give it a swirl. Flip it. We're going to cover it with saran wrap. And I'm going to put this in the oven on the proof setting. I actually have a bread proof setting on my gas stove. And we're going to just put this in there until it doubles in size. I'll show you what we look like in about an hour or so. I'm also going to go ahead and turn the light on so it'd be easier for me to see what's going on in there without opening that door. Alright, let me clean up because there's a few little things I need to do from the pantry. And wipe this counter down and I'll be back in a second. We're going to check on our dough. Now the way you can tell if your dough has risen and it's ready is that when you poke a finger on it very lightly, and if it tries to spring back, then you know your dough is ready. So we're just going to take our finger and poke, and it's not quite ready because it's not trying to push back. So we're just going to put this back in the oven on the proof setting and the light on for a little bit longer. We're gonna check on that bread. Oh yeah, here we go, here we go. Can you see that? Oh, so beautiful. All right, we're gonna check to see if it'll spring back. We're ready. So this dough should make 3 pounds. We will weigh it to make sure. So I have my small 1 pound loaf pan, and I have the large 2 pound loaf pan. I have coconut oil. Let's go ahead and get this all nice and oiled up so that the dough with the bread will not stick. Make sure you get the corners, the side, all the bits and pieces in here. And the same thing with the large one. These pans I actually got from Amazon. They're supposed to be, you know, square. So when you put the lid on it, it makes like sandwich bread. That's what we're hoping. We want to oil the lids also. I have the kitchen scale. Oh God, that is so beautiful. And it smells delicious. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and weigh out 1 pound. This is not necessary. And this should be close to 2 pounds. Pretty good. 1 pound, 15.5 ounces. That is pretty good. All right, so now we're going to get our bread ready to put in our pans. And I am using this, it's called a pastry roller or bread roller. I'm not sure what it is. You see me use it when I make pizzas. You can use a regular rolling pin if you like, or you can just use your hands like this if you want to. Either way. You want to make sure you are bigger than your pan, just slightly. And now we're just going to pull and roll this at the same time. And the ends we're going to tuck in. Pinch those ends very well. We want to make it as uniform as possible. In the loaf pan, now we're going to work on the 2 pound loaf. want it slightly bigger than our pan. Now we're going to roll it. Pull and roll at the same time. Make sure it's getting nice and tight. This is going to be this bottom side, that seam. Tuck in your ends. Seal that up with a good pinch. Again on this side. In the pan. Now because I do want to be able to monitor this bread as it rises, I'm not going to put the lids on yet. We're just going to cover it with the same piece of saran wrap. And then this is going to go back in the oven to proof one more time. Once the bread has risen almost to the top of that pan, that's when we're going to put our lid on it and then start baking it. Our bread has risen. We're going to go ahead and put the top on. I have the oven set for 375. Once that comes up to temperature, we're going to put these in the oven. I'm not sure how long this is going to take to bake, but I will bring you back and tell you how long it took. We want the internal temperature to be between 195 and 210 degrees to make sure they're cooked. Okay, so it's been 45 minutes. The 1 pound loaf is done. We're going to set that aside. We're at 210 degrees. Let's see about the 2 pound loaf. Look at that. Oh, that's so cute. Okay, let's go in. Alright, that is reading 210 degrees. That bread is done. And we're just going to leave them sitting until they completely cool off, and then we'll take them out of the pan. Let's check the bread. This is the 1 pound loaf. Look at that. Oh, if you can only smell this. Let's check the 2 pound loaf. See how that's got a flat top? That's from the lid. Absolutely gorgeous. Oh my goodness, that's so pretty. Alright, we're going to let it sit here until it completely cools, because you don't want to cut into warm bread because that's where most of the crumbs will come from. So we're just going to let it sit here. But I just want you to see how perfectly square this is. Oh, gorgeous. Okay, it's been 3 days since we made our bread. And all I did was wrap it up in some plastic wrap, left it on the counter. This one we did cut into it because I did make some French toast yesterday. Because if you were to ask the husband what is his favorite breakfast, it would be French toast. So we're just going to turn all of this bread into French toast so we can have ready to eat breakfasts. So let's go ahead and get this all cut up. So we're going to need a serrated knife. I'm going to make mine about 3/4 of an inch thick. You can make it as thick or as thin as you like your slices. But I think this is going to be perfect for us. Doesn't matter if it's perfect or not. This is homemade bread, homemade freezer meal. I'm not going to discard the end piece. We will save that for when we need to make breadcrumbs or bread cubes, whatever. But this is probably my prettiest loaf of bread ever. Can you see inside? It's soft but yet firm. Just a perfect loaf. I'm not seeing any holes. That was from the pull rolling we did. It helps. We have a swirl in here, but there are no holes. Okay, I do have a little hole right there, but that's okay. It's okay. All the ends are going to go in the freezer. Looks like I have 27 slices. Okay, so we have 27 slices of bread. And the way I make French toast is for every 3 slices requires 1 egg. So in a casserole dish, we're going to put 1 egg for 3 slices. So that's 9 eggs, a little bit of milk, some sugar, some cinnamon, and just a pinch of salt. Okay, it looks like I got some shells in here. Best way to get shells out is with a used shell or a cracked shell. Just go in here and scoop them up. Got all the shells out. All right, 9 eggs, some organic cane sugar. Put about 2 heaping tablespoons. Some cinnamon. We're going to put 1 heaping teaspoon. And just a pinch of salt. We're going to add some milk, maybe a 1/2 cup. Guesstimate, it will be fine. Let's give this a whisk. Break all those yolks. All right, that is perfect. So I have 2 cast iron skillets on the stove. Burners are on medium to medium low. I'm letting them warm up really hot. I have the large baking sheet with parchment paper. That's where we're going to lay our French toast once they come off of the skillet. I have our French toast custard. I have a couple slices of bread here. And we're going to use butter. In our pans. Now you can use bacon fat if you want. You can use lard, tallow, whatever you like. I like the flavor that the butter will give our French toast. to go ahead and give our egg another beat. So we're going to take a slice of bread, put it in our egg mixture, flip it, shake off any of the excess, put it in our pan. Repeat until we have French toast in both of these pans. And we're going to cook those until they're nice and golden brown on one side. Then we're going to flip them until they get nice and golden brown on the second side. Oh, that's what we're looking for. Can you see how golden brown that is? That's what we want. Turning it down. Now I'm taking it off and putting it right on this baking sheet. Alright, I'm just going to repeat this until all the bread is done. Alright, see how this one is smoking? We're going to turn the temperature down just a bit. Get another egg mixture ready. And going in. So I did have to add another egg in here. So I put another egg, milk, sugar, cinnamon, and salt. And 10 eggs was perfect. And I have 2 slices left over. I'm not going to do another egg just for 2 slices. I'll actually have this with my lunch today. And this is the tray that we're putting the French toast on. I have 1 layer of 15 on the bottom, and I'm starting a second layer. Just laying them right on top. So we have 15 on the bottom, another piece of parchment paper with 10 on the top, another piece of parchment paper on top of that. We're going to let the French toast cool down to room temperature. Once that happens, then we're going to put this whole tray, just like this, in the freezer. And then we're going to let them freeze. And then later on tonight, we will take it off of the tray. And then we will put them in Ziploc bags individually for single serving. So the husband or I can just grab what we want and have French toast anytime we want. The parchment paper will not go to waste. I will use the parchment paper to individualize the French toast so they don't freeze stuck together. But later on tonight, we will take this out of the freezer and we'll package this. Oh, welcome back. Got our French toast. The big cookie sheet did not fit in the freezer, so I had to convert it to the small cookie sheet. But they are frozen. All right, let's go ahead and get everything ready for us to put these in single serving Ziploc bags. So I'm going to put them in quart-size Ziploc bags at 3 apiece. So I'm just cutting the parchment paper to fit in the Ziploc bag. So I'm going to put French toast down, a parchment paper, a French toast on, fold that in half, and put a French toast. So we have 3 slices. Here we go, 1 serving, and I'm just going to do that with the rest of them. Get these in the freezer. I have 1 left over, so 1's going to get 4. Alright, so I have 7 that are 3 and 1 that is 4. I'm going to label my gallon-sized Ziploc bag. I have it labeled and dated. So the one with the 4 in it, I'm just going to go ahead and put this in the refrigerator so the husband can have this when he wakes up. And the other 7 packs are going to go in the freezer. The night before we want to have French toast, I'll just take it out of the freezer, put it in the refrigerator overnight, and then just microwave it, or you could put it in the oven and bake it till it's warm. If you are going to bake it, just put your oven on 350 degrees. Remove them from the plastic bags. Take the parchment paper, line your baking sheet with the same parchment paper, put your French toast on it, and bake it until they're warm. I'm guessing about 10 minutes, but when I do that, I will let you know. Now I have frozen, ready to eat French toast whenever I want or the husband wants. So I just want to say thank you so much for spending time out of your day to spend time with me in the kitchen while we made some homemade bread, French toast, and now we have frozen French toast in our freezer. It's awesome knowing that I've got a healthy meal, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, in my freezer. If you would, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, and while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe. We would love to have you part of the Grammy family. So until next time, y'all have a blessed day. Bye, family. We're going in the freezer now.